folks, and welcome back to Christian Sports Bar. I am here joined with Vito.
What up?
And here today we're going to discuss kind of introductory points of football, essentially. Just because, we'll be getting Vito in here for each and every other sport, but the most important topic right now is obviously football, since it's football season. And, baseball for Mariners fans is unfortunately just not looking too good.
Yeah, and I know, some basic viewing knowledge of football. I played a little bit in, backyard kind of football, and, I played in band in our in high school, and band in high school played music at the football games.
It sounds like the way that you say, we were in the band and we played.
We played at the football.
At the football sports.
At the football sports.
Throwing your sports ball in the backyard.
So cursory knowledge. And I'm kind of here to not only throw some bants back at Christian in the general forum here, but also to learn some more knowledges on the sports, and get some more terms and stratagems and what all that kind of stuff means.
Right. Well, okay, so Vito, as you know, the preseason it's kind of like the build-up to the season opener, where each team has got about 93 players on its roster.
Cool.
And the teams have to cut down to 53. And so when they do the cuts, it's important for preseason to have an idea on how these players play. They pick up a lot of undrafted people. And
your microphone stand looks scary.
Oh,
it's tilted as fuck.
It's tilted a little bit, but I've got it covered here. It's fucking pointing at.
It looks scary from this angle, though.
I'll try to fix it. It's fucking this stupid chairs. There we go. I'm gonna roll with that.
All right.
So anywho,
some technical difficulties.
So
it's basically a preliminaries for a tournament where they're cutting down to the main people, and then
essentially,
and then they have the actual games.
But the main tournament being the actual season.
Exactly, that's what I'm saying. Yeah.
And with 93 players, you get to see a lot of. Obviously, they're not going to start their core starters, and some teams do for maybe one or two drives, but one or two drives could even be 2 minutes, 5 minutes, however long the first drive takes. That's usually how long the starters are out there on the field.
So, quick question. Mm-hmm. What do you mean by drive?
So drive is so let's say that. We'll use the Seahawks for example. Let's say the Seahawks get the ball first.
Right.
They're going to bring out their starters like Russell Wilson and, Tyler Lockett. And Will Dissly. They're going to bring those guys out for the starting drive. And the starting drive is the first, it's hard to say. It's the first drive of the game, which drive is the attempt to get to the end zone.
Oh,
it's
right.
Their
Okay.
push for the end zone. So it's their first offensive drive.
Yeah, I got you.
Mm-hmm. And so it's when the offense is on the field, it's considered a drive.
Right.
So they're always driving towards the end zone.
I'm trying to search for a synonym, but I can't find one. But I know what you mean.
It's hard to explain drive without really kind of explaining what it is.
It's the point on the first point where the ball is being moved.
Exactly.
Basically.
And it's not necessarily only related to the first drive or the last drive.
Well, no, but I was relating it to you saying the first drive.
Yeah. And so in the preseason, the starting players on the team that are
sort of the sort of active vocabulary for the downs.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Exactly. There you go. So they'll usually play the starters. Maybe one preseason game, and that's only for a few drives, or half of a preseason game, which would most likely be the last one since the first week in the NFL starts a week after the last preseason game. So they usually get them out there to get flowing, to get the feel back,
blood pumping.
Exactly. So that's just kind of how preseason works. And a lot of people don't like it because players get injured in the preseason and it sucks.
Yeah, that'd be rough.
And I will get into week 1 preseason injuries because there was an abundance of them.
Oh, yeah.
But losing players is just something the sport, it's just part
It's
of the sport.
expected, yeah.
Like, I mean, preseason or not, those guys are going to go out there and they're going to play the same way that they're going to play in preseason. In the regular season, they're going to get hurt. But preseason's a good way to see a lot of these young players coming in from college, a lot of these guys, coming in off the free agency wire. And free agency is like players who are currently with a team but can be signed to a different team, and other players that aren't even on active rosters. They're just players that are available.
Yeah.
So, for instance, a name that you probably have heard is Colin Kaepernick.
Yeah.
He's a free agent, but he doesn't belong to a team.
Right.
He's just kind of floating about, and he's worked out for a few, but I don't know. It's a whole
totally.
can of fucking worms.
Whole different can of
It's a
worms.
whole political.
It's a whole
can of
different
worms
episode.
that I don't even want to fucking get into, especially in a preseason episode.
Yeah.
We're just talking some sports ball.
Yeah, some sports beef.
But it is a really good way to see a lot of different talent on the field.
Yeah.
It's a cool way to see new players in new uniforms. The preseason is not like spectacular, and it's not like a super fun thing or like something that you would make an event out of, but it's still football, and people who love football should appreciate preseason for what it is.
Yeah.
As just a scrimmage game that needs to happen, obviously. It just needs to happen. There shouldn't be any cutting preseason out and adding to the regular season. That's not going to change anything as far as player safety. Player safety is the way that it is no matter what, because
It's the nature of the sport.
it's the nature of the sport. They hit hard, they get hit hard, and shit happens. Freak accidents happen at practice, even in the regular season.
Yeah, somebody I know fractured their foot just walking to work every day. So shit's gonna happen when you got heavy bodies bouncing on each other.
All the beefy boys.
Some beefy boys.
That's right.
In the original meaning, when you're talking about footballers, they're gonna be beefy, strong, not just
How's that coffee?
chubbing like we are. This coffee's pretty good. It's getting me pumping again, getting my blood pumping. What was the brand on this coffee again? It was goat something.
Yeah, shout out to Ravens Brew, Three Peckered Goat.
Three Peckered Goat. That's a good name
for supplying our coffee for
for
the day.
a brand. That's hilarious.
And so I'm gonna get into preseason week 1. I'll get into the preseason injuries for week 1. There's a few of them that do stand out over the other ones, but Theo Riddick for Denver Broncos, they played the Seahawks. He suffered a slight shoulder tear or slight shoulder fracture in the preseason game on Thursday. But he's going to be out for 6 to 8 weeks.
Yeah, I was about to say it's only like 6 weeks or something.
It's a pretty notable one.
Definitely.
And then Cleveland Browns wide receiver Antonio Callaway suffering a high ankle sprain in the game against the Washington Redskins. So, as you can see, injuries happen.
Yeah.
But you go into week 1.
Sprains don't really take that long to heal,
Sprains
though, right?
shouldn't take that long.
Yeah.
And plus, the funniest thing is he's suspended for 4 games anyway, so.
Oh, well, there you go. Time for the injury to heal.
Yeah, exactly. Jermaine Kearse on the Lions. This one was a really unfortunate injury. And unfortunately, it most likely costed Jermaine Kearse his career. And I think he's only 29 years old or so. So he's not old, and his career wasn't really that, it wasn't in jeopardy of being over as far as like who he was playing for. And he just got signed by the Lions, and the Lions do have a good quarterback with Matthew Stafford, but he got his leg rolled up on, and he broke his leg in half essentially. So his leg is totally fucked, and the video is disgusting. I'll tell you that. And
I mean, I would not want to watch that.
yeah, and he's yeah, so he's gonna miss the whole 2019 season, and he fucked up his foot when he fucked his leg up. So
Oh man,
bad. It's a bad.
That's
game.
some bad juju.
That is a bad situation. Anywho, Andrew Luck has a calf injury, nothing significant. Didn't play in week 1 of the preseason. He's probably not going to play at all this preseason.
That's not very lucky.
Not very.
Not to make light of an injury, but you know.
Amari Cooper is not participating in practice because of a heel injury, and he missed the last 5 practices here coming into week 1 of the preseason. So he's probably not going to play either. Nobody's expecting it. And Derrick Henry had a calf injury, but at least he was able to work out on the sideline with the team, so he's still looking good. And Antonio Brown, obviously, he had frostbite in his feet.
Oh.
And it was icky. But, I mean, he's getting
Does he still have feet?
He's still got feet.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah, he stayed too
Could've been
long
worse.
in the cryptotherapy. I believe it's crypto. I can't even remember what the fuck it's called. It's like a fucking cold ass water.
Yeah.
To help heal your bones, but he went in there with not the proper footwear and it froze his feet.
Cryo.
Yes, thank you.
Yeah. I was trying to remember. I'm like, I should. Yeah, he's fucking. He's got the Sasquatch foot.
Oh. And other than that, I don't believe that there was any significant ones. AJ Green obviously is injured. He's expected to miss like tons of games this year. So who knows?
What do you do?
He fucked up his ankle in training camp. So it's no bueno. He was carted off the field and everything. It's bad.
That's rough.
It sucks. It really does suck when you see players go down and you know, a lot of the times it's like ACL related or just not fun. And speaking of ACL, I do have an ACL injury update on a Jets player coming up here in just a second. But Will Dissly on the Seahawks, he tore his patella. Yeah, patellar tendon, whatever the fuck it's called. It's in your, it's in your fucking leg.
Your patchouli tendon.
Patchouli tendon. I mean, he fucked up his leg pretty bad.
Oof.
And but he's looking good for a week 1 start. He's feeling better. He's probably not going to play this preseason. I don't blame him. He doesn't need to play in the preseason. It's just not.
Speaking of injuries.
Yes, sir.
Are you going to talk about your ear?
Yeah, my ear is infected.
As somebody fucking like tore at your fucking fresh ass fucking
my earring. Somebody pulled on my earring and it's fucking infected. And I had to drain it with salt water and it's been pretty icky.
Icky, dude.
It's fucking gross.
Pustule.
Well, I had the injury update for that player on the Jets.
Yeah.
And that's the linebacker.
Who do the Jets play for, by the way, real quick?
Who do the Jets play for?
Yeah.
Like what city?
Yeah.
Oh, New York. Them and
yeah.
So the Jets and the New York Giants.
I feel like I've heard that before, yeah.
Yeah, and they both play in the same stadium. But they just play different days. Or they play in the same stadium Sundays, but just they're not obviously playing on the same day in the same stadium unless it's like the Jets versus the Giants.
That's going to be awkward.
Avery Williamson, so the starter for New York Jets, tore his ACL in the preseason game. And I thought that was crazy because he was a starter in this preseason game, like into the second half. Or not second half, but second quarter, which shouldn't happen. Like I don't think they should have starters in there past the first or second drive. I mean, if you're going to keep your starters in there, keep them in there for the first couple of drives, but then just fucking put them on the bench and let them rest, for fuck's sake. But
Yeah, when you work somebody too hard, they're gonna get
Yeah,
hurt.
and they just acquired C.J. Mosley too to their linebacker core, so it is a tough loss. It's a big loss for them, and they were
That
looking to have a
sucks.
pretty strong linebacker core. And this ACL tears it sucks, man. It took him out he's out for the whole year.
That sucks.
Yeah, he's not going to be playing in the 2019 season. Um, so a big name right now in the NFL is
Yeah.
Kyler Murray.
Okay.
And so he was the player that came from Oklahoma. He looked good, but he's short. He's a short guy, but that doesn't really have much to do with it. But, I mean, people, I don't know. I don't think he should have been a number one pick, in my opinion.
Yeah.
He's a great quarterback, but I don't think he should have been picked a number one. But he
Wasn't there something you guys were saying the other podcast or so about how you didn't think quarterbacks should be first picks?
that's in fantasy.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So in fantasy football, you don't ever pick a fucking quarterback first unless
Right.
you don't know what the fuck you're doing. Like, people will go on there and they'll see the board and they'll see Tom Brady or they'll see Russell
Yeah,
Wilson, and
totally.
they'll, oh, fuck, I have to pick him. So they pick him first and they look dumb, and it's great. Because when you
funny.
see somebody pick a quarterback in the first round, you know that they don't really know what they're doing.
Yeah.
But fun thing about fantasy football is ours actually starts up here. We have our draft coming up on the 31st. I can't wait. Well, I'll talk about it on the show too,
That'll be fun.
following up on the draft on that one. And
I'll have to join up one of these times as a rookie.
in fantasy,
Yeah.
yeah, for sure. We have $100 buy-in, so you probably don't want to
I
do
don't
that
have the
one.
money right now, but
Yeah, you probably don't want to do that.
maybe the
one.
next time around, unless you guys increase it again.
Nah.
If it's the same amount next time and I have the money, I'd probably do it. But yeah.
And so, two notable players that are out, and not out because of not out because of injury, but out because of
Other
contract disputes,
stuff. Right.
is Melvin Gordon on the Chargers and Ezekiel Elliott on the Cowboys. So on the last show, I believe we did talk about that a little bit, so I'm not going to get too much into it, but to be brief about it, these two running backs are their top tier running backs. They're good. They're awesome starters. They're strong. They're fast. They're fucking good. And they're both out because their teams don't want to
Pay him
give
enough.
them what they want. Exactly.
Yeah.
And they want to be paid because, and in my opinion, I do think that Ezekiel Elliott should be paid over Dak Prescott, which is the quarterback for the Cowboys, because Dak Prescott's just not that terrific of a quarterback.
And that's the thing too, is it's not just competition, you know, because like you need to be making a lot of money if at any point in time you could get an injury that just like fucks you for the rest of your life, you know.
Pretty much. And a lot of the times is these, it's kind of like we talked about boxing too a little bit, and how that boxer died
Yeah.
after going 12 rounds of just getting hit to the face. There's a reason why boxers make the money that they do, and that's because they could go out there and fucking die every time they have a fight. And I'm not saying that NFL players can go out there and die, but they really can. Like, you never know.
Yeah.
You can go out there and really
and
fuck
even if
something
it's
up.
not die, you could still like permanently injure yourself in a way that
Yeah.
doesn't allow you to do sports anymore, and then that's your like main income just
Well,
gone.
think about it like this, Cam Chancellor on the Seahawks technically broke his neck.
Oh,
And then Ricardo Lockett on the Seahawks a few years ago, I think this was like 5 years ago, got blindside blocked in Dallas in the middle of a game and broke his back.
yeah,
Like, he was really fucked up.
that's fucked.
But at least they're both able to, like, move, but they're
Yeah.
obviously never going to play the game of football again.
Definitely right.
So at least they were able to get taken care of for their injury and to
Yeah.
be supported through it and not have to be fucked over like all those AAF players that were injured, and that whole thing going under and them having to pay their own medical bills.
Oh,
Yeah, that was a big shit on the face.
that's gross.
So tonight, the Bears and the Giants play at 4:30 p.m. And so the one thing that I'm excited for is there's a name on the Giants quarterback who he got drafted, and people kind of I mean, people obviously said that this guy was going to be a total bum, and he's coming from Duke. And he isn't really like the
Duke?
most spectacular of quarterbacks, but he's by no means a fucking bum. You know, he got drafted for a reason, and last week he went 6 for 6, and had a touchdown in his first drive in the NFL. Granted, it is preseason. I understand people don't fucking trip, but I mean to hear all of that criticism about you, like every single day, these guys are going out there shitting on this kid, and I honestly think I don't understand why people are calling him a bum before he even plays in the league. Granted, I might be totally wrong, and he might be terrible, but I don't know that because he hasn't played yet.
Yeah,
and so it's
and
like
also,
he got drafted high up there, and instead of people appreciating it and letting him be happy, they just shit on him the whole draft, and then after the draft they shit on him, and then people still do. But you know,
Yeah, that's really shitty because, like, there's also, like, anyone with any sort of internet presence, you know?
yeah,
It's no longer people who are just popular because of something they've, like, done in a popular medium. There's now just the internet, you know? And you can, like, it opens up a lot more realm of possibility for people to be exposed to that much, like, amount of people. And, like, it can really fuck some people up getting, like, attacked like that on the internet, you know? Like,
yeah.
I get it, like, oh, you just gotta be tough, or, like, oh, you just gotta ignore them. But, like, if people are, like, sending you, like, if you just have a constant stream of negative comments, it's gonna affect you, like.
Yeah, and I think that I'm pretty sure that these players are, for the most part, they're pretty used to getting shit all the time, and
But it doesn't make it any less shitty of the
it doesn't
people
make it
doing
any
you
less
know?
shitty because I mean these guys are fucking human beings. You know,
Exactly.
they may be fucking athletes and they may be playing in the NFL, but I mean it's no fun to get shit on all the time,
Yeah.
day in and day out. Anytime you go on the internet, you know,
Big
I mean,
oof.
I don't care if I get made fun of on the internet. I personally don't give a fuck.
Yeah.
But if it were happening every day and every like minute and every time I were to go
Yeah.
on the fucking internet, I'd be a little
Exactly.
tired of that.
Yeah.
So I mean, I can understand, but these guys probably have a good way of not paying attention to that shit.
Right.
And
But it's
so
still like, shout out to all those assholes. It's just not a cool thing to do.
shout out to all the pairs. So yeah, Daniel Jones is his name, and he went 5 for 5 for 67 yards, and 1 touchdown. Fucking sweet. And then on the Jets, Trevor Siemian was the starting quarterback for them, which is pretty interesting because Sam Darnold will be their starter ultimately, but he only played a little bit. He went 4 for 5, 68 yards and a touchdown. Pretty good for a good drive for Sam Darnold. And I like Sam Darnold. People treated him the same way that people treated Daniel Jones.
Yeah.
It's like the same kind of way. And yeah, Trevor Siemian went 13 for 16, 77 yards, and 1 touchdown, that's pretty good. And so, moving on, there's another rookie quarterback that had his debut last week was Dwayne Haskins. Let me pull up Dwayne Haskins really quick here so I can see exactly what we got on his stats. But
And who's he from again?
he plays for the Redskins.
Redskins.
So he got drafted. So actually, to put this story in full circle,
Yeah.
the player that I was just talking about on the Giants,
Yeah.
you know, he wasn't supposed to get drafted where he got drafted. I think it was number 6, I believe. I might be wrong, but the Redskins actually traded their pick to the Giants so that way they could pick later, and then they picked Dwayne Haskins. So technically I'm messing something up here. I'm confused. I'm
Right.
just confusing myself with these fucking names. And the draft, it was a long time ago, and I can't really remember.
Totally.
But some weird mix-up happened. But bottom line of the story is the Giants didn't pick Dwayne Haskins, which everybody thought was going to happen. And with that being said, the Redskins picked him up. I think the Redskins picked him up number 13 or some shit like that. And so he got picked, and let me pull his stats up from week 1. But he played for the Ohio State.
Yeah.
And he beat the Huskies in the Rose Bowl on the first day of the year. So, fucking great start to the year.
Wow.
Good loss for the Huskies, and it sucked. Happy New Year's. But, I mean, at least the Huskies were able to, like, claw back and make it a respectable game, because at first it was just kind of like a little bit of a Ohio State overpowering, but, I mean, yeah, God. I don't even want to get started on the fucking Rose Bowl, man. I was so bummed.
Oh, no.
But, yeah, so Dwayne Haskins. And then I also, so the other quarterback for the Redskins, who's technically their starter, is Case Keenum. Case Keenum played for the Rams, and he played for his most like notable years were the most recent years are the Rams because of Hard Knocks. That's kind of like what really brought Keenum into the spotlight, and then leaving the Rams and going to Minnesota and actually having a good run with Minnesota. They went deep into the playoffs and they looked good. They unfortunately just couldn't pull it off. But
right arm.
Right.
I get you with that one?
You did. You got me. So Redskins played the Bengals last night. He went 7 for 14, 50% completion rate, which is, 7 for 14 is pretty good. It's not bad. 114 yards and 1 touchdown with a long touchdown of 55 yards. And the touchdown was beautiful. I'm telling you. Like, his pass to that receiver was fucking awesome. It was beautiful. I'll show you, when we're all wrapped up here, I'll show you that touchdown.
Yeah, that'll be fun.
But, yeah, that was sweet. And then coming here. God, there's so much.
So much sports.
So much football, man. I love it.
Football.
And so they played Cleveland in the first preseason game, and Dwayne Haskins on that one. And, I apologize for, having to, look all this shit up because, I mainly focus on the Seahawks, obviously.
I mean, if we weren't lazy boys, we could just edit out any silences.
Well, the silences aren't too... it's not like the silences are like...
Silence of the Lambs.
They're not that fucking bad.
Did you get that one?
The Silence of the Lambs. All right, yeah, okay. So Dwayne Haskins had... Dwayne Haskins had 8 for 14, 117 yards, and 2 interceptions.
Nice. Oh, is that not good?
It's not very good. But that's his debut. And so you think about his debut, and then you think about the kid from the Giants, and then you compare them, and you're like, well, shit, oops.
Oops.
But we'll see how Daniel Jones plays. We'll see how Daniel Jones plays tonight.
It's not just the individual players, but also how they work together.
Exacta mundo, buddy. And so
how all the pieces fit.
And so Kyler Murray struggled last night against the Raiders, which kind of a rough start. But Kyler Murray had 3 for 8, 12 yards, 1.5 average.
Watched a little bit of that game. That's when you showed me, right?
Yeah, I did.
Yeah, man, the Raiders tore them a new one in the beginning at least, and then they sort of made it a little bit closer towards the end there. But
yeah, Derek Carr went 2 for 2, 40 yards, and 1 touchdown. That's a good showing for their star quarterback. And
There you
then,
go.
Mike Glennon had a good day, 11-14, and this is a name that really hasn't been heard that much as of recent. But 11-14, 175 yards, 12.5 average, and 2 touchdowns. That's fucking sick.
There you go.
And, Nathan Peterman.
Yeah?
And this guy, he played for the Bills.
This guy.
God, he fucking sucks, dude.
Oh, yeah?
His first game, threw 5 interceptions in the first half, immediately pulled. Not a good way to start your career. Your very first game, your very first time on the field, you throw 5 fucking interceptions.
So I'm assuming the interceptions are hits because you're saying thrown interceptions. They're throws that were intercepted.
Absolutely,
Yeah.
interception.
and not like him making interceptions, because that would be a good thing. So it's a bad thing.
The good thing is him having
So somebody intercepting the ball that he's thrown, right?
somebody intercepting the ball that he's thrown is a bad thing.
Yeah.
A receiver receiving the ball that he's thrown is a good thing.
Well, yeah, no, but
Which is-
I was just clarifying for myself and anyone else who might not know that you were talking about him throwing the ball.
Yes. Yes. I forgot. We're talking about beginner football. So yeah.
Because I know what an interception is.
So if he throws the ball,
But he's the thrower.
if he throws the ball and a person on the defense,
What is that position called? The person who throws the ball.
quarterback.
It is the quarterback. Okay. cool.
Quarterback. Yes. Is there any other positions that you need to know?
Maybe.
All right.
We'll maybe tackle that as we go along.
Oh, I like that. Tackle it.
Yep.
Oh,
You got
I like
that one.
shit. Yeah, I mean, as Joe said earlier on the Beefy Boys, frequent listeners listening there that are listening here, Joe said it pretty correctly. The preseason's a fucking snooze fest, but I mean, it is.
Well, it's gotta have some good information come out of it for people.
It does. It really does.
Yeah, obviously good information for the people who are doing it, But for the people who watch it, it's got to have some good information for people who want to speculate about, what the team not only what the teams are going to look like, but also what teams might be better than other teams based off performances and all that kind of stuff. I feel like it's good fuel for speculation.
Right. Oh, pardon me. Shit.
It's not the main show, but it's a little cock tease,
Absolutely. I like it. It's just a quick tippity.
A quick tippity.
So now I'm gonna get into the Seahawks
Yes.
and
The Hawks of the Sea.
the Hawks of the Sea had a awesome preseason starter here at home, and they played Denver Broncos and Paxton Lynch, who is a quarterback fighting for a roster spot on the Seahawks. That was his former team.
And are the Broncos pretty comparable to the Seahawks, or are they lesser or bigger?
I mean,
you on a statistics basics, I'd say. Obviously, you've got your heart set on the Seahawks, I'd imagine.
right. So I'm kind of confused. But are you seeing by
If
match for match, are they kind of equal?
sort of general team ratings at the time.
I
would
would
say
compare them to pretty much
that they're pretty comparable.
pretty
to each other?
comparable. Yeah,
They're pretty close.
in defensive ways. Offensive
Right.
ways, the Seahawks, I believe, are better.
There
I
you
mean,
go.
they have a good running back with Phillip Lindsay and with Royce Freeman.
So it was still a decent matchup then, right?
It was a fun matchup.
Yeah,
It was
there
a
you
fun
go.
preseason matchup.
It's more the information I was trying to get without directly asking.
Right.
But yeah.
And so their quarterback is Joe Flacco, who played on the Baltimore Ravens. He
Yeah.
played with them. He won a Super Bowl with them. He was considered, an elite quarterback. And things just kind of have dropped off for Joe Flacco in the recent years. He just hasn't had that many good seasons.
Yeah.
Baltimore is just kind of finding its new identity with Lamar Jackson, and Lamar Jackson came from Louisville, And Lamar
just as everybody else is in the 21st century. Get it?
Yeah.
Because different identities are identifying as things. But now it's a place that is identifying as a thing.
Pretty much.
I don't know. I thought it was a pretty good joke.
No, it's pretty funny. But so, they have a good running backs with Royce Freeman and Phillip Lindsay. Phillip Lindsay was an undrafted free agent who joined the team last year. He played for Colorado.
Yeah.
Pac-12 player. He's a tiny guy with big poop hair. He's got poop hair.
Okay.
Like his hair looks like shit sticking out of his helmet. And so anyway, he balled out, played his way towards a Pro Bowl, which is awesome for him.
There you go.
And then Royce Freeman, also a Pac-12 player, playing for he played for Oregon. So
Cool.
the running backs for the Seahawks. Obviously, there's Chris Carson, who's considered to be the number one, and then there's Penny, who's the number two, and then after Rashad Penny and Carson, it's kind of like a Wild West show of running backs. There's so many fucking running backs. You've got Xavier Turner, who just joined the team, I think, right before the preseason game, and he actually had the best showing out of all the running backs. Bo Scarborough coming from Alabama. And
Scarborough Fair.
He went 7 carries for 32 yards. It's pretty good, 4.6 average. And Xavier Turner, 13 carries for 42 yards. Not bad. Penny had 6 carries for 15, but he also had a good reception. And, but yeah, Paxton Lynch. Paxton Lynch, former Denver Broncos. He went 11 and 15 for 109 yards and 1 touchdown, and he also ran the ball 4 times for 38 yards, 9.5 average, which is good for a quarterback of his size. He's a big quarterback. And so the other non-notable, non-exciting performance for the Seahawks was Geno Smith.
Yeah.
Coming out, and nobody is really confident that Geno Smith is going to make the roster, just because he's just not that.
He hasn't shown up.
Yes, and he's not that good of a quarterback. He went 3 for 9 for 58 yards, no touchdowns, got sacked twice. Not that fucking.
Even I can tell.
But Drew Lock for Denver Broncos, they've got some good. He's got some good energy, and I like watching the guy play. He's got a good way of playing the game, and he went 17 for 28, 180 yards, 6.4 average, 1 touchdown, 1 interception. And yeah, I'm pretty confident that Drew Lock will be able to ride the bench behind Joe Flacco for a year, and possibly they're going to suck, but you never know when they're going to make the switch. But it would be good for him to take a season of just kind of learning the game. And I think that this was a good way of showing how he plays. And people are, especially the Broncos are going to see. He was picked in the second round, pick number 42 overall.
Audio technical difficulties there.
God damn it. So, I think the Broncos are... They're in... The quarterback is in a good... Position. Drew Lock. And I think he's going to be a pretty good quarterback once he kind of can adjust to the NFL. And so going back to the Seahawks, I've already said what I've needed to say with them pretty much. The linebacker core, just incredible. Linebacker Cody Barton was just all over the field. Linebacker Ben Burr-Kirven was all over the field, who played for the Huskies, and Cody Barton played for Utah.
It's funny, the way you said linebacker core, I was imagining, like, a core that goes into a robot and makes them like powered up, and the robot's a linebacker. Anyway.
It was also the DK Metcalf.
I've heard that name before.
You have heard that name before. It was his debut in the NFL. He had one catch for 8 yards, which 4 targets. There were a few balls that he should have kept, that he had in his grasp that he should have held on to, but he couldn't. And then there was also a few passes that were just a little bit too shitty.
Whoopsies.
John Ursua had 1 reception for 23 yards in the slot, which was awesome because that's exactly where he needs to be shining, especially with the absence of Doug Baldwin, with him being retired. And the big notable receiver here.
Yeah.
So his name is Jazz Ferguson, the player for the Seahawks.
I feel like I've heard that name before too.
You have not. This guy's like deep cuts only. God, what a showing this guy had. Holy shit. He went, 4 targets, 4 receptions for 54 yards and a touchdown. So Jazz Ferguson went to Northwestern. He's 6'5", and 200 and some pounds. But he's a big guy. He's a big receiver, and he had an incredible showing. And it was good to see. I really liked seeing that. That's what the preseason is for. So that you can see players like Jazz Ferguson. So that you can see players like John Ursua.
Beefy boys.
He's a little more of a lean boy. He's a lean boy because, those wide receivers are all fucking muscle.
Well, yeah.
Especially DK Metcalf. Holy shit. But, with that being said, Vito, I know you don't understand football completely, and I know that we didn't really get into,
I feel like I've got a little bit of a better understanding, and we went a lot more into the character depth here.
Yeah. You learned a lot about a lot of different teams.
Teams and names, yeah.
And showings and injuries and shit.
Yeah, got some injuries, pre-game stuff, or not pre-game, but
preseason
preliminaries.
You got some preseason knowledge, and I'm telling you, the whole game changes from preseason week 4 to week 1 of the fucking regular season.
I definitely got some knowledge out of this, though.
And you will learn more in the regular season than you would in the preseason.
Yeah.
But you do get to see how all of these.
And I think I'd love to come back maybe after even having watched a show with you at some point, maybe.
Absolutely. We also talk about it on the Beefy Boys too. Well, so the fun thing about having you on here is that we can just roll over and just say, that you can catch us next time on the Beefy Boys.
Yeah.
Which is fucking sick. And, we're going to be recording this this Sunday here. We got a special guest in William Potts III.
Yeah.
We're all excited about.
William Billiam.
William Billiam. So with that being said, ladies and gentlemen, grab a beer. It's Friday night. Have a good time. Watch some football. It's preseason.
Maybe Saturday night when this comes out.
Actually, you know what? Since you're a guest on here, I'm going to ask you.
Yeah.
Before we wrap up, what would be your favorite game day food?
Game day food?
Yes.
I'm gonna have to say. Now this might be a little out there, but Papa John's, fucking, is like a buffalo chicken popper pizza.
Oh wow.
And blue cheese dip.
Oh fuck.
Yeah.
Sounds good.
Yeah, baby.
Yeah, I think one of my favorites is the week 1 jalapeno poppers.
Oh,
I'm really looking forward to those.
I love jalapeno poppers.
I make a fucking mean batch of
Nice.
jalapeno poppers, and I can't wait. Week 1 is going to be the shit. Vito, I hope you continue to listen to the show so that way you can learn more about sports.
Yeah.
Granted, I know time is...
Well, shout out to the Adventure Zone podcast, but I'll be done binging that soon, so hopefully I'll have more time for different podcasts.
Sweet. There you go. Shout out to our friends at Seattle Sunshine who supported this episode with some...
Sponsors us with coffee.
With coffee, absolutely. Go check them out. They're great. And with that being said, folks, thank you for coming to the Sports Bar. I hope you enjoyed this preseason week 2 kind of
Rundown.
and look forward to seeing you guys back next week.
Beefy Boys out.
Beefy boys are out.